Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Healing and Dealing podcast. I am your host, Charlotte. Today, I am joined by Portia Franklin, longtime friend of mine. We've been friends since, like freshman year of high
Mhm.
school. Yeah, so excited to have you come on my podcast. You were actually like a huge help with me starting this whole thing. I cherish you and I cherish our friendship, and I'm so glad that now we're 37, however, I think, are you close? You're like 37, 30. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's been like a good 25 years, right? That we've
Wow.
just been doing this life, and now we're connecting in this way. It's so beautiful. So,
Wow.
do you want to introduce yourself to my audience?
Yeah, sure. I'm so excited. You know, a long time coming, but I'm so honored to be here. And my name is Portia Franklin. And yeah, I'm just over here on a mission to empower women. And we're going to get into my story here, but absolutely excited to be on here to share whatever comes out to empower the woman listening. So excited to chat with you.
Yeah, that's perfect. I feel like your story is going to impact so many people. Even, we're going to really dive into like teen mom stuff and,
Mhm.
trauma that happened in the family and like what kind of your journey looked like. And I know that there's so many people listening that maybe have teenage daughters that can really learn from your story,
Mhm.
or, young women who are battling some of the same challenges that you did, and you can really give them a perspective of what you went through and like what it led you to, because now you've just like blossomed into this amazing woman following the Lord, really trying to like get in there and empower whatever woman you can touch. And I'm just so inspired by you. So, all right, let's
Thank
dive
you.
in.
Yeah, let's go.
So I really want to talk first about, your experience with getting pregnant at a young age, and like what your family life was before that, like what did it look like, when Portia was 5, 6, 7, 8? Like what kind of life were you living in?
Mm. I like to say it was colorful.
That's a good way to put
Definite,
it.
definitely colorful growing up. Uh, Tons of, from what I remember, like, when you're a kid, you don't really recognize what's not normal and what's like
Right.
toxic. So looking back, I'm like, okay, yeah, there was like a lot of moving, never stable. There was a point where my mom had to get healing and I was like not with my mom. So there was a lot happening. And so yeah, that was me like growing up, just rolling with the flow, like just going with it. And stability is something today that's really important to me.
Right.
So the effects of like that adversity that I had to face and then decide to overcome um, has led me here today. But like being a teen mom, like all of that led me to the places that I was in. So
Yeah.
like my mom was always working. She was very hardworking, had like 3 jobs at one time. So after school, I would be alone or with my big sister, which, still alone because my sister was doing her own thing.
Mhm.
So got myself into some things that probably shouldn't have, got myself into. I saw things growing up that I probably shouldn't have seen. And then, leading myself into things that I probably shouldn't have done. And then, yeah, got got pregnant at 14.
14. Wow.
Mhm.
Such a baby.
Mhm.
I know when I met you, I think we were like right around 15, and I couldn't believe it that you had a baby. It was like, what? Like we were still kids,
Brand new. Mhm.
You were managing that. Like where did you live? Like what were your parents was your mom supportive? What did that look like?
Yeah, so when I got pregnant, um my mom, she was like so excited and so happy
You're like,
and so
wait.
supportive. I know. And at this point my sister had already had children, so
Okay.
she was a young mom, and so my mom was a single mom, and so my mom loved us so much, and she loved her grandbaby that she already had. And
Mhm.
so when I found out I was pregnant, like I didn't know that wasn't like normal, that you wouldn't have a supportive mom. So it was all I knew. There was no other option. but to have this baby because my mom was so excited. And so,
Wow.
yeah, it
And
was.
you didn't even think twice about it. You just knew, like, when you found out you were gonna have her.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, "Okay, I'm pregnant." So didn't really, like I was 14. I didn't even know what like a having a baby was. I'm like, "I'm pregnant. Okay, cool." And take it to my mom. She's supportive. And then the other side was like, "I don't know if this is a good idea." But my
Mhm.
mom was all for it. And I'm like, "Well, this is
Yeah.
it is what it is." So we're moving forward with it. So, yeah, that definitely was a huge, huge thing that my mom was supportive, and to be honest, it saved my life.
Wow.
Mhm.
How old was the dad at the time?
Well, like,
Oh, is that a
yeah.
bad question?
No,
I can't remember if
no,
he was a teenager or not.
no, he was probably 17.
Yeah, I remember him being,
Yeah,
like, kinda young.
yeah, yeah, probably 17 or something, like, he was a few years older than me, but I was 14, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
So once you decided you knew you had your mom's support, you were like,
Mhm.
"Alright, I'm having a baby." Were you and the dad together?
We were, but it was super toxic. So there was, yeah. So mm, talking about like manipulation, all of the abuse that I faced in that relationship and to why I even was in it still. Um, yeah, we were together, but it wasn't long after that I did get pregnant that we were no longer together. So I was
Okay.
just in my first trimester before we were even like, we were already
Wow.
on the way out.
Yeah, so you stayed in school, like actual school once, like the whole time you were pregnant?
Yeah, so there's at El Cajon in San Diego, where we're from, there is a high school, El Cajon Valley High. I
Okay.
think it's El Cajon Valley. I don't know. But El Cajon High School had a pregnant teen program. And so I think this was like the most amazing saving grace. It was the first time I got straight A's, but it
Wow.
was in this class that we were just all pregnant teens, like
Wow.
all girls that were pregnant, and we were all in like different different grades, but we were all in this one class. And it was really great because we didn't have to walk around campus. We didn't have to do the transferring of
That's good.
classes, potentially submitting ourselves to bullies or like get
Mhm.
in a fight because it's a rough neighbor. Like I grew
Yeah.
up in a really rough part of town.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was a really great and Miss Bartell, shout out to Miss Bartell. She was like an angel to me. Like she would take me from school because my mom was working, and she would take me to my mom's work after school
Wow.
because I'm like, my mom can't
Teacher?
pick me up. My teacher.
Wow.
So she was such an angel, and wherever she is today, but she's amazing. She supported me greatly.
We'll have to
So yeah.
find her and tag her. Maybe she has a Facebook, who knows?
hmm
Wow, so
Yeah.
okay,
So
so
in school. Yep.
you stayed in school, you had your daughter, and then, like, what was that first year like?
hmm Rough, rough. So I was at El Cajon, and then I was forced to go and live with her father's family because I didn't have anywhere to go. My mom actually was like in a hotel. It was just not a good living situation, very unstable. So I had to make a hard decision to go, okay, I'm going to go to school in um, Lakeside, El Cap. And it was my sophomore year because I had passed, freshman year,
Mhm.
moving along. And my sophomore year, it was that I moved to Lakeside because that's where they were. And so we were living there. And it was rough. Like I would cry almost every morning going to school because I didn't want to leave my baby. And I was like on like a mission to figure out how I could do this
Mhm.
and like be home with my baby and not miss out. But I had to, something in me, you know, knew that going to school was important, because
Yeah.
when girls are faced with such like situations like this, getting pregnant, there's such
Mhm.
an easy route to just go, I'm just going to drop out. I'm just going to go get my GED
For
and
sure.
I'll just do whatever. But there was something in me that just kept leading me to stay in school and keep pushing forward because I knew ultimately I would be like graduating was important because my mom, she got her GED. My sister got her GED and didn't walk with their class. And so I saw a pattern. And this was even before I knew the Lord or anything about like generational patterns and all of those things
Mhm.
that can clobber you. But I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to show my baby that anything is possible. And so I have to stay in school as hard it is as it is and graduate with my class. So yeah, it was hard. Like every morning, it was tough to leave her. Hmm.
And that's where we met, El Cap.
Yep.
We were on the dance team and you were such a good dancer. You were always
Oh my goodness.
you caught on so quick too, and I remember you just like loved it and you seemed so
Yeah.
focused back then. Like the
Hmm.
first couple years that, we started getting to know each other, it was like we formed a really tight bond during that time.
Hmm.
And even it was just at school. Like I feel like in the beginning we didn't hang out as much outside of
Hmm.
school, but then we got into a little bit of a party phase. So like
Oh yeah.
let's talk about that. Like where were you mentally like through
Hmm.
those high school years having to raise a baby and like living at the baby daddy's house when like you're not even together and like
Hmm.
what was that like?
Oh my gosh. They're just it was like a constant state of like if I just look back, it was just like always a constant state of like there's just static, like
Mhm.
and I knew that I had to push through, but I was dealing with all of this trauma, like trauma to me now, like that I'm like
Mhm.
look back, I'm like, dang, that really like affected me. Um, but everything that I was dealing with whatever was happening in the house, and then like having that pool to be a mom and then be a teenager and wanting to have a social life but still be a
Mhm.
mom. And so yeah, I ultimately like like I would say like sophomore, junior, like going into junior year, there was a like at the end of my sophomore year, I believe, I don't know timelines. I'm not very good at times, but
Mhm.
like I was out of like something had happened where I had to move out. Like my safety and the child's safety was like at risk in that house.
Oh wow.
And I had to leave. And so I just remember the day that my mom came and got me, and I moved with my mom. And she had finally had like an apartment that she was stable at, and so it was good. It was like so much better to be with her versus in that
Mhm.
space. And so just like talking about my teenage, because there became like a custody thing where like Lexi, my baby, would go to her dad. Can you edit that out?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes.
Where she would go to her dad's and then I would have her, so it would be like 50-50. um and then I had time alone to be a teenager and do our little party thing. And then,
Mhm.
then be a mom. And like when I had her, I was like strictly mom. When I didn't have her, I was having fun. So there was like that time of season where, yeah, we had like there was that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I really did. I was like I did have a gift, and I like just to separate, and just be disciplined enough to, have that time, but not
Yeah.
bring it around her when I had her.
Right.
So that was really important to me. Um, so yeah, that was those days.
Yeah, I feel like I went through the same thing. Like, even though like 19 is, a lot older when you're thinking about those like critical years, when I ended up moving back with my mom, like the same kind of thing happened where I started to like go out more. My mom could watch my son, and then um yeah, it was just it's a phase, and like
Mhm.
I can't even imagine like trying to do high school, being in that teenage like social life, and like at LCAP there were a lot of parties and like
Mhm.
lots of invites, and you're like you want to be a part of it. You want to be a part of like the social scene, but like you're a mom. I think that like you did excuse me, an amazing job at separating the two. And I never once saw you lose focus of your daughter.
Mhm.
Like you always were, every decision you made, it seemed like, from my perspective, was for her,
Mhm.
you know?
Mhm.
And I'm just super proud of you because I remember like thinking like, dang, like she's actually doing it. Like a lot of people would give up, or a lot of people would just end up, like you said, dropping out, or like you really like cared about being on the dance team, you cared about your grades, you cared about these things that were going to help you later in life and help your daughter essentially, you
Mhm.
know? Yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
you're welcome. So, after you graduated, what happened after that?
Can we even talk about graduating? Because I almost didn't. Oh my gosh,
You
the
did,
road
right?
I did
Yeah.
graduate, and I wish I would have had my diploma right here to show you. But, the road I'll just back up a little bit because
Okay.
graduating was beautiful, but the road there, because I was, wanting to be mom, I wanted to have a social life, and then I was dealing with all this drama, I fell behind really, really greatly
I'm
because
sure.
I decided, it was my junior year, I think it was, like, the beginning or middle where I was like, "I'm gonna, like, take their, like, partial homeschool, partial, like, at
Mhm.
school, opportunity so I can go to work," and I started working at the Pancake House,
Oh, I
like,
remember that.
I started working there, and then I was, being able to be with her a couple days a week, but I fell behind, like, that decision put me, like, miles behind because there's so many credits per class,
Yeah.
and man, I really did fall behind. So my senior year, I actually had, like, 8 classes, and so while all of, like, the beautiful, cute girls leaving in their cars or going to the beach at lunchtime, I'm, like, over here like, "Bye. I have to stay because I have not only do I have 7 full classes
Mm,
or whatever classes we had, I had, like, a class after school and then a class on
mm,
Saturday, and then I had to go to adult school because I was doing math, and literally my last day when we were graduating, the last day, that morning, before I
mhm.
got to pick up my cap and gown, I had to go to history class and finish a test, and I did the test. I can't even tell you what I got on the test because I gave the test to the teacher, he's like, "Get out of here and go graduate,"
Oh, that's
because he was
cool.
like, "Just go. You did it. You did it. Good job."
Yeah.
And that was, like, the last little, staple in the paper that I went and got my cap and gown, and I walked with my class, and the story was that they were like, "Portia, you don't have to, like, kill yourself over here. You can graduate 3 months after your class and just, graduate in September instead."
Mhm.
I was like, "No, like, the I'm not no, I didn't come this far to, like, graduate with people
Right.
that, like,
Mm,
no, I wanna walk with
mhm.
my class. That's what I need her to see." And so I did, yeah, and that was like, wow. It was, like, supernatural, but I did it.
Yeah, you fought
Yeah,
for
we
that
graduated.
diploma.
Mhm.
You fought for
Yeah.
that thing, like, your drive and persistence, and I was a super senior, right? I
No.
Yeah, I wasn't set up to graduate on time either, because like,
Mm.
at 16, I had to get emancipated. I was living on my own, like, in my own
Mhm.
apartment, at that, like, 16, 17, and I fell behind too. So,
Yeah.
I
Wow.
was like, "Dang, I'm not gonna finish," and, I ended up just doing, I think, probably what they offered you.
Mhm.
I did, like, an extra semester, and then I walked with the next class, so
Mhm.
I really didn't care. I was like, "I don't care who I walk with. I just wanna go on the stage and, like, get that diploma," because I was so similar to you, like, it just
Yeah.
mattered to me. It was just
Yeah.
something inside me that I knew I had to fulfill, you know?
Yeah. So good.
Yeah, it's
Totally.
and yeah, I can't even imagine, like, having a child at home, and, like, that probably pushed you just so much more to make sure that you did it. It's really awesome. I'm proud of you.
Mhm. Thank you. Yeah.
And that last I remember I
The
had
same.
teachers where I'm like, I had, like, a D, and I'm like, "Please just pass me, I need to graduate," and I think I had a couple teachers, like, help me out too, so I think they know the
Yeah.
ones that really want it, and, like,
Totally.
are facing challenges at home and personally, and I'm sure
Mhm.
that it's obvious, so can hook a couple kids up every now and then.
Yeah. Seriously.
Yeah.
Good.
So, you got that diploma. What happened next?
Yeah. So
Where'd you live?
graduated.
Did you stay with your mom?
You know what? I was living with my mom, and then, it was really, like, important to me to have stability for, my baby and me, so we were living in these apartments, and my mom would do the hair of the manager that managed the apartments. And there was just this one conversation that I had with her. And I don't even know how it was orchestrated. I don't remember, but I just remember specifically, she's like, if you go to college, if you like, and it was before I graduated, she's like, if you
Mm.
graduate high school and then go to college, I'll make sure before I retire here that you have an apartment, because it was government housed, and the wait list for government housing, I don't know if anybody
Mhm.
knows, but it's like crazy, like 5 years of a
Yeah.
wait to get into an apartment. And so this was subsidized housing. And so she was going to pull some strings for me, like another, just
Wow.
a blessing from heaven when I didn't even know, like God was chasing me down.
Mhm.
But so I was like, done, like,
Yeah.
you got it. So I graduated, and then I started to go to Grossmont College, and with a major in dance, and I was starting my GE, and I was dancing. Oh
I
man, it
remember
was
that.
so fun. It was so fun. And so um she she retired, she got me my apartment. I was in apartment like 217, I don't know. Right on the corner, and I stayed in that apartment for 10 years.
Are you
I
serious?
Yeah, I lived with my baby. She was 3 years old when we got that apartment. She had her own room,
Wow.
and, yeah, we stayed there for 10 years. So
Wow.
I had received the blessing of stability for her, so she knew that, like,
Does the
home
housing like change anytime or it just stays pretty low because of like the way it's structured?
subsidized housing goes on your income.
Oh,
Is
okay.
that what you
Okay.
mean?
Yeah, I wasn't sure like if it changed like throughout those 10 years or anything, like just whatever income you make, then it goes off
Yeah.
that. That's cool.
Yeah, so it takes a percentage of your income, and so I honestly remember paying $17 for my rent at 1 month
Oh,
because I didn't have income. Like, I was a single mom.
yeah.
I, like yeah, I eventually, and then I had another baby when I was 21, and so now then I had 2 babies, and then that relationship didn't work out, and so now I'm a single mom to 2 babies, and yeah,
Oh,
there
I have a
was
question. What was
yeah.
dating life like as a teenager and you had a baby? Like how
Mhm.
did how did that go?
Dating and having a baby. I
Like in
didn't
high
have
school.
Yeah, I didn't even like, it wasn't a thing to me. Like, I
Okay.
was just like, you're for it or you're not. Like, I'm good
Mhm.
either way. And I wasn't very committed, to be honest. I did not have a heart for commitment. And I pretty much, like, men were just looking back, I'm like, wow, I'd really, once it like got really, really serious, I would find myself sabotaging the relationship.
Mm.
And so I like, yeah,
Why
sorry
do you
guys.
why do you think that is?
Because of my daddy issues,
Okay.
my trust issues, the abuse that I had went through, mentally, physically, emotionally, like men were mean, like, and so I had um just made this picture of like, well, if I'm like, just pretty much get what
Yeah.
you can give me what I want, basically.
Mhm.
Like, that was, like, my idea of men, and my mom was single, she's still single, and so that is, like, a generational thing. My sister is not married, um, so I was just not, like,
Mhm.
"We don't have to do this." I'd never had a picture of what a healthy relationship looked like, so I was like, "Well, that's just that. We don't have to be married, we don't have to be committed, they just come and go, and we just whatever. We just
Yeah.
have fun," like, and so, yeah, I was so focused on her that, like, it wasn't really a thing.
Mhm.
So, yeah, dating was easy for me. I was pretty confident in who I was, and, like, yeah.
Why is
So,
that?
date
Like
it was not
where'd that confidence come from? Because you did always have so much confidence.
you know, maybe because my mom was so loving, and she
Mhm.
loved me, and because I can't even tell you, because I didn't know my dad. I did have a grandma who was very encouraging, but I guess I just protected myself, and, like, there's so many, ways that we do that, and so
Mhm.
I hid my fears behind confidence, maybe I hid my insecurity behind confidence,
Right.
because I did have a lot of insecurities, I did have a lot of fears,
Mhm.
but it never like I always just showed up because I had to. I had no
Yes.
other choice but to show up and like make things happen because if I wanted to have something, I always had to do it myself, you know. And my mom did her very best, but she taught me and she showed me what hard work was. And she showed me that you just get ish done. Like you just make it
Mhm.
happen. And so no matter what that looks like, whatever adversity comes your way, you got to keep trucking on because ain't no one coming to make the bed for you.
That is so true. I love that. Your mom's
Yeah.
awesome. I remember hanging out with your mom quite a bit. I just remember that she does hair.
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. Um, I
Mhm.
I love what you just said, how you said, "I didn't have a choice, I had to show up."
Mm,
Like, that's powerful.
mm,
Because there were times where, like, this is just, like, probably something I've never told you, but there were times where you were confident and you were very bubbly, but I felt your pain,
mhm.
you know? Like, I could feel like there's more going on deeper than that. She's kind of putting on this face, but, like, what's inside Portia, you know?
Mhm. Mhm.
So that makes sense. I'm glad that you
Mhm.
just touched on that because a lot of times our fears and insecurities, I don't do it. It's not something that I'm just like I put it all out there, you know? But I a lot of people who put on that smile and they're bubbly, like there's pain and there's heartache going on, you know?
Yeah, and I think I've learned so much in like being able to address those things and talk
Mhm.
about those things in a way that is not condemning or, you
Absolutely.
know, like there's just I didn't know what I didn't know back then. And so I just knew like I just stuffed it down. Like, oh, well, okay, I feel this type of way, but we still have to go forward. And I didn't process it in
Mhm.
the way that I know how to today.
Right.
And so in the last 10 years, I'm not kidding you, the processing of like all of it has been so in depth and I've come into this really safe place of and we'll probably get into this of in my marriage when
Mhm.
I said yes, I had the opportunity to put everything down if I wanted to and just focus on my family and like me like in healing. And
Mhm.
so because we're only as good as you know to our family as we are to ourselves, and so if I'm not
Right.
healed and whole, I'm going to project all of that onto my kids, and then what the patterns they
Yeah.
just continue. So I'm like, I've made a decision, we're disrupting patterns and we're
Mhm.
going to do the hard work that it takes to knock out this toxicity because it's not going to run through my kids. Yeah, so there's a process.
I love that. I love that. I freaking love
Yeah.
that so much. It's so true, and it's people like you and I that do that kind of stuff, you know,
Mhm.
where there's just some people out there that break the cycle and they have this, you know, intuition and this drive and this need to be different. And you make that decision. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
so freaking true when it comes to like before I started my healing journey, it was like it didn't really, you know, come to a head until like my early 30s when I was like, "Oh crap, like I have a lot to deal with that I haven't really faced." Like I know I have
Mhm.
trauma, but I need to really like do it like hold myself up, become whole inside myself, not look for other people to make me safe or feel good. You know, like I had to find
Yes.
that within me. And yes, exactly. If you like as a mom with trauma, all of that gets projected onto your kids if you don't heal yourself, like you said. So I love that so much. And I always tell Irie, you know, my oldest, I'm like, I'm really sorry that like you had to grow up with me because like when you have kids young, they literally grow up with you. Like I'm sure that you
Yeah.
can relate to that and you're just like thinking about all the things that you're like, man, if I would have known like but like
Mhm.
you said, you don't know what you don't know and you just do your best, you know? There's, like, all these cute little memes out there. I just sent one to Irie the other day, and it was like, "Thank you for, like, being like, I'm sorry that you know, had to grow up with me, but thank you for showing me, like, what real unconditional love is," you know?
Yeah.
It's pretty deep. when you think about
Yeah, totally. Because it's like our first baby, our
it.
first baby. We're young, and then, I had my second baby, I got a little bit better, and
Mhm.
then I got, waited, however many years I waited, and then had 2 more babies, and so I'm like, "Wow, the difference in." So now I get to look at, I have an 8 and a 6-year-old, and I'm, like,
Mhm.
looking at the difference in every season that I parented, the first one, the second one, the third one, and now the fourth one. I'm like, wow, it just gets better and better every time
Yeah.
because we just learn and we know. So, yeah. So, yeah, tap in to like the moms of multiple kids if you're just having a baby or you're
Mhm.
like new time mom because yeah, there's some wisdom to be gleaned from multiple
Definitely.
kids.
Definitely, especially different seasons of your life, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like, I waited 10 years to have or 9 to have my 2nd child,
Mhm.
so it was, like, so different in so many ways. I definitely don't have the energy I used to have, though, like, I get tired, I'm like, "Ugh." But I wanted to go back to that apartment that you lived in because I remember
Yeah.
coming over and you were I think you were, like, starting a daycare or something?
Yes.
And you had, like, everything. I remember thinking, like, "Oh my gosh, like, Portia, you were a rock star back then." Like, you just have something about you that when you wanna do something, you go all the way and, like, you do it. And I just remember being so amazed by that. I'm like, "Dang, she's got her own apartment. She's, like, trying to start her own business." Like, you were already business oriented back then. You were already, doing entrepreneurship. You
Mhm.
already had all these like, ideas. So what were those 10 years like in that apartment? Like, kind of in a nutshell, like, what happened? What transformed in you?
Yeah, so ups and downs for sure, but when I had my daughter at 21, I just knew I did not want what would happen to my first daughter to happen to my second daughter. So I went complete like 180. I was
Mhm,
like complete turnaround of like I need to be present with her, I need to be with her, I need to teach her, I need to,
yeah.
just be a mom. Like I just wanted to be a mom so bad to her.
Mhm,
So that's why I started my childcare. So I went through the licensing. Yeah, I had one woman, I had like 3 kids at one time, but the
mhm.
main goal and the main focus was to be home with my baby, my second baby.
Smart.
So, yeah, and I turned my whole living room into a school, a
I
preschool.
remember.
My whole house, yeah, my whole apartment was a complete preschool.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the kitchen, there was a baby kitchen. There was, like, books and, like, a book, like, desk on the wall, all of the things. Yeah,
Mhm.
so, yeah, I was an entrepreneur. Yeah, I say that in my business too. I'm like, I was an entrepreneur before I even knew of the word because
Right.
I had to make something happen. I needed to make money
Yeah.
and I needed to be home with her. So I figured it out. Like, I just was like, okay, I'll do that. I can do that. I love kids. It's so
Yeah.
fun.
Oh my
So, yeah, that was like women and kids are still my passion. I actually serve in my church and lead in kids now. Today, I thought I would never, but um, yeah.
Isn't it
So that's
crazy how, like, things from 10, 15 years ago, ideas that you have or passions, how they pop back up and you're like, "Oh,
mhm,
this I felt my purpose a long time ago," and, like, now it's
mhm,
just coming, like, in a real powerful way that you can actually do, you know? Like, now
yeah,
you're equipped to do it. Now you're in the right mindset. Now you're able to hold space for all those people, you know? That's awesome.
yeah, it's fun.
So when did you meet your hubby? When did that
So, yeah, fast forward. Um, my husband, so at El Cap, we
Oh, wait.
danced.
I know how you met your husband.
Yeah.
Duh.
So we'll tell our friends that are listening.
Yeah.
The story is truly like one from a fairy tale, but I started hanging out. There was this one girl in our dance class, and she was like the older girl, and she was like the best,
Mhm.
And I was like, wow, I want to dance like her, how we have those things. And I was like, I don't know. I just heard this voice in my head. I'm like, I'm going to make her my friend. Like, she's
Mm.
going to be my friend. Like, I don't
Yeah.
care what it takes. I'm going to get to know her because I think that's something that I've always had too. It's like if I see somebody doing something that I want to do, I get to know them and then I figure like, I like
Yes.
make their skills my own. And so I'm really good at learning and like I'm so coachable. So anyways, I become
I love
friends with
that.
this girl. And yeah, we become friends. And then after high school, we start hanging out. And like she has this little brother, and little
You're
brother,
like,
he's like
hey.
1 year. Yeah, he's like 1 year older than us, than me, but he was still little because he had braces, he had like acne. And I was like way too cool for a little brother with braces. So we were, doing our party thing and whatnot. And I, after our party phase, like her life changed. She stopped partying, and then my life changed. And this is like just a fast story.
Yeah.
But I started this business, with a networking business, and the philosophy of it was God first, family second, career third. And so that is where I found out about this, lifestyle of faith. And like I knew God, but I was not absolutely not living the lifestyle of what the word says. And so there was no way I was honoring God. But I saw these women living this life, and I saw Danielle. I saw my sister.
Okay, just the
Well,
first name.
well, I saw her living this life, and I was like, well, she's living a nice life, and these women in business are living a nice life. How do I live that nice life? Because
Mhm.
I always have wanted more. And I was like, I always like wanted to be this, celebrity. I see these celebrity lifestyles.
Love
I'm like,
it.
I want to live a celebrity lifestyle. And how do I
You
do that? I
you
just didn't know how
dream
to do it.
big.
Yeah.
I love that you dream big. It's so freaking fantastic.
So everything I do is pretty eccentric. What's that
Yeah,
word? Like big.
eccentric.
Like I don't do anything small, and
Mhm.
that's kind of like has bitten me in the butt. But I start everything big. So, but anyways, I started to live this different lifestyle. So I knew the brother, I knew all of that, and then I started doing Bible study with her and her mom. And one day at Bible study, her mother-in-law, was like, oh my gosh, what if so and so was your husband? And that would be it, because they knew I was like searching, because I had come from like, I'm going to be single independent forever, and
Mhm.
I don't need no man. I'm like this strong independent woman, I can make it on my own mentality, to I found God, I got saved, I completely changed my mindset, and was like, now who's my husband? Because now I know, now I see who I see the value of having a husband. Now I see the purpose
Yeah.
of it, and the power behind it. So I was on the hunt to like
Mhm.
prepare myself for whoever this man was. And she's like,
Mhm.
wouldn't it be funny if it was so and so? I was like, stop. Are you kidding? I haven't even seen him. And he was like away. And so I hadn't seen him in like years. I didn't even know what he looked like anymore. And they're like, well, just write a letter to him. And I was like, write a letter? What am I going to say? Like, why? And then the mom was like, yeah, that would be so nice for him to get something that was not from his family. And so
Yeah.
I'm like, fine, I'll write the letter. And so I write this letter, and I had to rewrite it because I was like, what am I doing? Like there was something rising that I'm like, was I just flirting with him in this letter? Like what? I don't even know. Like, so I
Yeah.
had to rewrite the letter. I had my friend read the letter, and she's like, okay, that's fine. She's like, but why are you doing that? I'm like, I don't know. And so he gets the letter, and then he writes back, and he's like, and it was like talking to him today, he was like, I saw right through the letter. Um, but
That's
he's
awesome.
like, love you too, sister in Christ. And like this, this thing. And so when he actually and came back to San Diego,
Was there
it
more
was
letter
like,
writing though, or was it just the one?
it was pretty quick that we had started talking,
Okay.
that like in the letter there was probably two letters, and then he was already like on the way
Mhm.
home. And so I was there the day that he got home, and it was like, no, it was something that was so divinely like put together. I can't even explain to you, but within 2 weeks we had our first date, and then within 9 months, almost a year, we got married. And so it
Oh
happened
my
so very
gosh.
quickly, that he knew, like, he had somebody else that was like, trying, to rekindle, and he was like, absolutely not. Like, he knew that he wanted to do better. He
Mhm.
like his past is like my past. It's just really messy, and like
Yeah.
could have things for both of us could have ended up a lot worse than
Yeah.
they were, but we found God, and so he intervened. And so there was this kairos moment that we both walked into that has set us on a fast track. And so yeah, within a year we were married, and then our son was born one day before our first year anniversary.
Wow,
That's
that
yeah.
is fast.
So that was how I met my husband.
That's so crazy. So now, like, the girl that you saw in dance class that you wanted to become friends with is your sister-in-law.
Is my sister.
You
Yeah.
manifested the shit out of that. Holy crap. Like, you literally did.
What you think about, you bring about.
That's crazy. Like,
Oh
you
my
you
gosh.
manifested every step of that. Like, you know, however you want to put it, like, your
Hmm.
vision, your thoughts were directed in a certain direction, and you did it. You made it happen. That's incredible.
Yeah.
So how long have you guys been married now?
Are you ready?
No?
9 years.
What? Oh my gosh, like where does the time go? That's so
Yeah.
crazy. And then your kids are 6 and 8 together.
Hmm. Hmm.
How
Yeah.
have like the blending of families, how has that been? Has there been any challenges?
Oh my gosh.
Not
Yeah. It
even a
actually,
question.
yeah, that's a good question. I think it's a really good question because so many people are probably facing the blended challenges that it
They
comes like
are.
with the baby daddy and the drama, and then like the new man, and then baby daddies want to get all puffed up and like act all
Mhm.
hard because of whatever. And I'm like, where are you? Like, sit down, like you're in, like stay in your lane, because like this new man has come into my life, like we're not even together. So
Right.
there's a lot of things that can come about. And when you're single as like a single mom, everything is fine.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, the guys are fine because they know that you're not with anybody, but
Right.
as soon as you get with somebody and you start like getting serious, they want to start
Mhm.
being weird. And so that was something that we had to deal with. And my then boyfriend had to decide. He gave me a promise ring, and he had to decide if this was worth it,
Yeah,
if the
for sure.
fight and the drama that he was having to deal with was worth it. Because not only did he have one father, he had two fathers to deal
Mhm.
with. My kids had, different dads. And so he's like, wow, this is like a lot. And so I wouldn't have blamed him if he would have ran the opposite direction, because I was dealing with a lot of drama. And
Mhm.
so with that being said, it got really ugly, really, really ugly. And the promise was broken off. He had to think about it. And then I
And
went
what
into,
can I just ask, like, what how
yeah,
did it get ugly? Was it like the baby daddy was like trying to like
just the,
intervene, just drama?
yeah, just the obnoxious, unnecessary arguments,
Got
right?
it.
Like, just like kids making decisions, that caused this result to end
Mhm.
up in this emotion on the other side. And so just a lot of big emotions flying around,
Yeah.
that now I have little babies. Well, at the time I only had two, but yeah, I digress. But
So he took
so
the promise ring back.
there was a point where he's like, I don't know if I can do this. And I
Wow.
was like, what?
Come again?
Excuse me. So there was a moment that he's like, give me a few days, I need to think about this. And so
Mhm.
immediately I went into war mode. And because we don't fight against flesh and blood, it is like in the spiritual that we fight. So I went and
Mhm.
fasted, I was praying, I knew that this was my
Dang.
husband. I knew that this was my husband. I knew that I knew that I knew, and I was not going to let the devil destroy my future like anymore because he had already
Mhm.
done enough, right? So I fasted for 3 days. It was my first time fasting food, and I only drank water for 3 days. I haven't done
Wow.
that since because that is hard. And so on the third day, I broke my fast over dinner with him, and I didn't even eat at dinner until he gave me the answer. I was like, I can't eat until like I know what your next move is because like this is not whatever.
Yeah.
It was the hardest 3 days. But his sister, what my friend at the time was so supportive. She was like my rock in that season.
That's
He
awesome.
was my go-to. And he said, okay, I'm gonna do this with you. We're gonna do this. We're moving forward. And so he took
I got the
on,
chills.
yeah, he took on the weight of two beautiful girls that needed a good father figure. He
Mhm.
took that on. He's like, I'm not going to let, you know, this be taken away. And so said yes. And then, yeah, we moved on for that. But it was rough in the
Yeah.
beginning with blended family. And so that was the main thing. If we have, if you're dealing with blended families with mature
Mhm.
fathers and mothers, then it's easier. But anytime you have a broken home, those children are subject to lots of what can cause them trauma. And so
Right.
I have had to work through, you know, with whatever opportunity I have gotten with my first daughter, and now with the opportunity that I get to with my second daughter, to coach them, to love them,
Mhm.
to teach them the right way, to go, yeah, I made mistakes. Like I know that you had a conversation with Irie. It's like, man, we have to apologize
Mhm.
and go, you know what, I messed up, and I'm sorry, but how
Right.
can we move forward with power? How can I teach you
Yes.
not to do what I did and fall into those traps that can so easily snare us? And so I'm so proud to say that, like, through all of it, like, I don't have daughters that have they don't have babies as teenagers. They both are graduate. Like my first one graduated high school. My second one is honors student
Oh,
graduating,
awesome.
homeschooled. So like I'm seeing the fruit of the fight,
Mhm.
that it was hard, but man, the fruit of my fight, and when we don't give up and give in and just lay down and fold like a deck chair to
Mhm.
all the adversity that can come to us, we can then live to see the fruit of our labor. Like all of that is so powerful. So yeah, to answer your question, it was hard. It
Mhm.
was
Yeah.
hard. Our first 3 years of marriage was cool. A lot.
Really. Mainly because of the blending families issues,
Well,
or just like communication, working all that out, like,
just all yeah, just all of it. I think, and like I said, like we have been on a fast track to,
yeah.
so we yeah, like with all of that, with my business decisions, with how I was out of alignment with business, there was just a lot like in those 3 years of like
Mhm.
because things that I didn't learn as a child because I had to grow up so fast,
Right.
I am now learning as a 37-year-old woman.
Yeah, same.
Why?
I
Like, you know
know.
what I'm saying? Like, and so where areas where he's really strong in, I'm like horrible in.
Mhm.
So we would clash, and he's like, "Why would you make that decision?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know." And that was like a real answer, like, "I don't know."
Yeah.
Because I didn't learn that.
Yeah.
But why don't you communicate properly? Like, because he didn't know that. He didn't have communication skills where I did, and I didn't
Yeah.
have money skills where he did. And so we would like, these
Mhm.
areas. And so, looking back, thank God we got through it and we decided to, not let those adversities take us out, but
Mhm.
work through them. And now, like, because when you have two willing vessels, you get stronger. And my motto is I get better every single day because I choose to. So, yeah, it is like
I love
between
that.
it has all smoothed out now that, like, my first daughter, when she became an adult, like, we didn't have to deal with that drama anymore, you know?
Yeah.
And with my second daughter, with the blended situation, her father had made a decision when things were addressed in the beginning to, like, you know, be honorable and
That's good.
respectful in his place, and so he made that decision early on. So I am so blessed by his decision to do that because I'm so thankful because I didn't have to deal with
Yeah.
what I dealt with the first time around. So she sees him and it's good. So it all smoothed out. Like so
God.
I'm like, wow, thank God. Like it was like, you know, the waves. They come and
Yeah,
then they
and so much learning along the way for
Mhm.
everyone involved, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
because I'm sure your husband, like, learned so much and, like, had to figure out so much on his own, faced like, taking on 2 children and, having to deal with the drama part of it,
Yep.
that's a lot, and I
Mhm.
fully commend him
Mhm.
for doing that because I feel like a lot of men will like the idea of it and, like, they wanna be with the girl, so they take on the kids, but it's more like the mom is still single, having her kids, and she has a boyfriend, like,
Mm.
even in the same home, like, it's not integrated, and
Mhm.
from, like, what you've said and from what I've seen, like, he fully integrated himself and, like,
Oh yeah.
immersed himself into being a stepfather, and
Mhm.
I think that's really, really awesome for your kids and for you, you know?
Yeah. And for women even listening, that are in relationships, um, when we like say, like you're independent, you're a single mom, you got to figure it out. Like that independence, it's a mindset. And if you like, I had to learn to like let that go and
Yes.
trust that this man, now that I'm married to, would actually take care of me. It took me probably 8 years. We've been married 9 years. It took me 8 years to let go of my independence and trust that he would have me.
That's so deep because the way
Yeah.
that you grew up, the way that I grew up, we're told to take care of yourself, depend on yourself, don't depend on a man. And so, like, you have to, like, put up a shield. And it took
Mhm.
you 8 years to, like, let that go and, like,
To
yeah,
completely figure it out. Mhm.
and, like, accept, like, "Okay, this is a partnership. I don't have to stand on my own. I have someone
Yeah.
who will pick me up if I fall down," and, like, trusting that, you know?
Mhm.
I remember going through the same thing. Like, I remember thinking, like, "Why do I need to tell him where I'm going?" Or, like, it was something like I was gonna go to a women's, like, Bible study one night. It was a few years ago,
Mhm.
and I forgot to tell him, and, like, he brought it up in our marriage counseling, and I was like, "Why do I need to tell you? Like, I do me," you know? And she was like, "No, you're in a marriage. It's a partnership. Like, you have to be able to lean on him, he leans on you. If, like, 'Hey, do we have plans tonight? Because 'Cause I'm gonna go to this Bible study.'" Like, communicate. I was like, "Oh, okay." Like, I
Mhm.
actually, like, have to it's a process, like, when you grow up the way that we did, it's a process really allowing a man to, like, come in that close
Yeah.
and feel 100% safe, you know?
Yeah, and it gets like once you recognize that that thing is there, because for so long I didn't even know I was doing it. I was just
Yeah.
doing me, like,
Mhm.
and I was just like doing the thing. But, like, once I was aware of it, I'm like, "Whoa," you could see it trigger in conversations and, like, arguments,
Yeah.
him going, "This is why. This is like, I'm alone. I just have to do it on my own. This is exactly why." Like, and,
Mhm.
whatever we're thinking about, we will find evidence, like, scientifically, we will find evidence to support if it's a lie or if it's a truth, but that thought,
Absolutely.
we will find the evidence, and so I was for so long when I became like, when I wasn't really aware of it, like, I would find evidence, and this is why I have to just figure it
Yeah.
out. This is why I
Yeah.
have to just go do it on my own, and so we would have these arguments. He's like, "Why do you say that? Like, why do you think that?"
Mhm.
I'm like, "I don't know, like, because you're telling me that I have to do it." He's like, "I didn't say that. I
Right.
didn't say that."
It was
I'm like,
your
"Oh."
yeah.
So it was like this moment, and then then I had to go in and become completely aware of it. And then he would like, I would get triggered again in a conversation or argument. And he's like, you're doing it again. Like you're
Yeah.
saying it again. I'm
Mhm.
like, shoot, okay. So then I would have to like stack evidence. How is he supporting? Like, how is he
Mhm.
providing? How, like, why do I not have to do this on my own? Because, okay, this, and this. So I would stack evidence to why I wasn't alone and I didn't have to do it alone. And we would have
Yeah.
now deeper conversations. We would make, we had got really, like, we've been getting really intentional. On having coffee dates to check in every single week. So having those conversations of going, how did you feel this week? Or da, 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 da. And so really getting intentional with conversations and communication
Awesome.
of going, okay, that just came out of your mouth. Why are you feeling that way?
Mhm.
So we're like really, really intentional with supporting each other and helping each other understand one another. And so I think that has been such a saving grace, but like we have to first like become aware or else it just stays
Yes.
stagnant. And if you don't have a partner that's willing to work through it like that with, because
Mhm.
it's like we got to talk about it,
Yep.
because, and especially
Absolutely.
like, you don't tell me what's wrong, then I don't know what's wrong. I always tell my kids that. Like, so that has been something that, coming from
Mhm.
that season of life into a new season, that those things pop up. And if we don't
Yeah.
address them, then they can destroy our marriages and our relationships.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm so proud of the growth, honestly.
Mm,
Like, and it's never ending, like
yeah,
we'll
truth.
probably do this again in 10 years because we're still going to be doing this
Yes.
beautiful business and we're going to have new stories and new growth and new crazy things that happen, So I'm just so happy you found a man and that you both are like so invested into each other. Um, and creating such a beautiful life for your family and breaking the freaking
Mhm.
cycle, like
Yes.
destroying it. Like you're just like, nope, I'm done. My kids are having a whole new life, whole new perspective.
Yeah.
Tell me what you're doing now.
Yeah. You just said breaking the cycle. I have a shirt actually that says it ran through my family
I
until it
saw
ran
that.
into me.
I saw
I'm like,
that. It ran into my family. It ran
yeah,
into my family until it ran into me.
yeah.
I need
Hmm.
to buy that shirt. I think I saw
Yes.
someone wearing it on Facebook or something. I was like, okay, I need that.
So I'm obsessed. But what am I doing today? I am homeschooling my kids. So for the past 3 years, I've been like, well, since 2020, like I stepped out of my network marketing. So I was like a car driving sales director, doing pretty good, but like learning a lot of lessons. But I had to step down from that and start homeschooling the babies. So
Okay.
that led me to just like this past 4 years just being mom, and I'm so ambitious, me, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
just like biting at the bit to do something, and I'm like, so now I'm in a season of like they're getting more independent, which is really exciting, and so I'm less hands-on with their schooling because they
Mm-hmm.
have online classes now, so I get to work more. So yeah, I am empowering women to show up powerfully and love and lead themselves well through my podcast, Sparkle with Portia Franklin, and then my program with Simplifying Digital Marketing for Business Women. And then we have our online boutique that I started with my daughter, Kylie. Um,
Ooh,
and so her and I are running a mommy daughter shop
that's so
where we
cool.
sell all of our custom clothes and curated styles. And out of that was born my mindset journal from all of the work that I've done and all of these conversations, like this conversation that we've
Mhm.
had and all of the work that I've done. It's been really intentional mindset renewal. And so I took that framework that I learned and I processed through my whole life. I'm like, how did I get here today? Because like this is not normal. Me
Right.
living in on top of the hill in this beautiful home, um, like teen moms, this doesn't happen. So how did I get here? So I really wanted to make a resource that helped women break the toxic cycles, like disrupt the patterns and sit down with themselves
Yes.
and get to thinking what they think about. And so I wrote the Think Cute 30-day renewal mindset journal that has taken all of my research, all of my study from Dr. Caroline Leaf, from like Chris Rochelle, like all of the greats of mindset and thought leaders, and of course the Holy Bible. And I've put it in this mindset journal, and I just went through it, and like it works. And like this month, I've had the most breakthrough in this new season, and so that's what I'm doing today. I'm excited to like speak to women. I want to have DM conversations and like help women get through the stuckness that we can feel, the frustration, the unworthiness, and all of that. And so I actually started a Monday night 6:30 Zoom community call for women who want to show up more powerfully in their life
Really?
and
That's
sparkle.
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
you'll have to send me all the links so I can
yes.
include them because I know that there's going to be people that want to dive in with you deeper for sure. This I'm so curious about the journal. So where
Mhm.
can people buy it?
So you can go to thinkcuteboutique.com and
Okay,
it's right there. It's
awesome.
also on Amazon. So if you're like in the UK, or, or you just want to get it from Amazon, you can actually order it on Amazon as well. It's just Think Cute Mindset Renewal Journal. So if you
That's so
search my
awesome.
name or search Think Cute Mindset Journal, you'll find it. But when you order it from my website, I actually like give you a note. I give
Yeah,
you like a bookmark and some goodies in there. I can't do that from Amazon. So I
right.
always love to make things really sparkly and beautiful.
Yes, I love
Mhm.
it. You're always making it. Anything that you do is definitely done the right way, and it's going to have a Portia touch to it for sure.
Thank you.
I'm just like
It's the
thinking,
experience.
yeah, exactly. I'm just like reflecting and thinking like, wow. Even like just for both of us, like
Hmm.
looking at your face. I remember looking at you when we were 15 and now we're here and we're like actually trying, helping to help people change their lives.
Yes.
And we've done so much work on ourselves
Hmm.
and that's why we're able to do this now, you know.
Hmm.
That's because, 5, 10 years ago we weren't in that space or now it's just like the time is now. We need to
Yeah.
be out there, we need to be seen, we need to show up, and
Yeah.
that's what we're doing, and I'm just so proud of both of us, honestly.
Me too. Yeah, I am so proud of you. And I was just a little reminisce. I was driving down past our school and remember the day that we were sitting at lunchtime by like the snack bar and we were just sitting on the floor and we started like singing. And
Yes,
we
I
were just
remember
like,
that.
I was like, I don't know. I'm really scared to sing. But yeah, little moments like that.
I
Just
remember that, and I was like,
so
"Portia, you're
innocent.
so good." I remember,
So
and
innocent, so sweet, like those moments, like
I know.
our child came out.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, and I remember, like, we sang really well together.
Mhm.
Yeah, I do remember that. So many good times and so
Mhm.
many more to come. Thank you so much
Yeah,
for joining me and my audience and sharing your vulnerable story. And I know it's going to
yeah,
touch so many people. And I'd love to have you back on or come on your podcast. We're going to keep
yeah,
connecting. Definitely. So I'll include all of your info in the show notes for anyone who wants to reach out to Portia Franklin. Do that because she is a
mhm,
special one and she is going to help change your life. If you're ready and you're there and willing, she's ready for you.
yeah.
All
Let's
right.
do
Have
it.
have a great day.
I love you, girl. Thank you. You too.
You're welcome.